Okay, well, welcome very much to this webinar. And as we see, we're going to talk about integrated medicine and functional state evaluation and therapy. The main thing here is the functional state evaluation. It's I made this webinar and this presentation, hopefully to show you how we in our clinic evaluate clients, how we understand their functional state, and thereby can help them to improve their health and their balance. So we are using the term integrated medicine, and that's because we integrate several methods to achieve our goal, better health and better balance for the client. And one of our methods are, as you have seen from my prior seminars, electromagnetic therapies. These include TimeWaver and several other modalities. You see this pyramid to the left here, and it says IEM, and it goes for information, energy, and matter. The matter should be much smaller actually, because as we all know, matter is almost not existent. So 0.0111% is presumed to be matter, but we cannot really find matter, we find a lot of energy. In any case, we think it's more valuable to evaluate the clients on the informational level and energy level. And matter we keep because things like eating food takes time. Build a new liver, if it's in good shape, takes about 6 weeks. And so we call the slow energy, we call matter. And we don't talk about psychology up in the head and the physiology being the motor or the robot. We know that we are all integrated, we're all one, and our thoughts, emotions are in the body as well as our brain. It's not just our thinking is just in the, not in the head, it's also in the heart and in the stomach and all over the place. So anyway, so how do we define the integrated medicine? Well, we combined the methods which we find effective and safe. This means that anybody could use it. It means also that we always use CE medical approved devices for treatments. So that means any doctor who knows about this type of technology and treatment methods could use it without risking his license or her license. And of course, before we do anything to the client, we do a functional analysis. And we're looking for the root cause of the problem. What is the root cause of this client's health problem? Or how can we improve their or his or her health? They don't even need to be sick. Maybe they want to think preventive, and maybe they have a feeling that not everything is in order. We can happen anyway. So to do this functional analysis, we do use multiple apparatus, and we want to plan how we can treat them and recommend them diet, food, and supplements. And the big question to ask, why is your voltage low? Because as we've learned from prior seminars, there are no health problems if your voltage is correct. There are no health problems if the battery is charged properly. Because if the battery is charged properly, that meaning your cells, they will perform all natural actions, and all actions and needed substances must be there, or else the voltage would be low. I will repeat this and show you in a minute. So when we look at the functional analyzing, traditional medicine, we look at different parts of the body. And we, of course, are interested in all parts, all levels, and all dimensions of the body. But we have a little bit different way of doing it. As a very smart guy once said, Albert von Szent-Györgyi, he was a Nobel Prize winner. He managed to discover the molecule of vitamin C, very important, and he also discovered a lot about the body. He also discovered electric potential, or he was one of the people who understood the electric potential of the cell membranes. And as he said, life is driven by nothing else but electrons. So life is electrons in motions. Life is electricity. You are electric. So this is why we can investigate you properly. And this is what we're looking at first. We look at different forms of electric expressions of the body. And by this, we can see how your electrons moves, or how is your charge moving? How is your balance? When we know this, we know the body, because your body is energy, it's electric. As we saw in the prior presentation, the last webinar, we see that when the cell has the right charge, it can perform its functions normally. When the discharge is happening and the voltage is going down, you cannot send signals like a mobile, cannot call anymore. You cannot perform the metabolic functions of a normal ATP and energy production. So the first thing we need to repeat and remember is when you have the electric potential and balance of the electric properties of the body, you are provided with the ability to build and regenerate cells. And actually, if you regenerate and build cells quickly, you don't have a health problem. Your body is in perfect shape. This is the main key. Most doctors and practitioners, they don't think about it. They think about, oh, is there something wrong with my knee? Is there something wrong with my liver? Is there something wrong with? But what is wrong? What is wrong when we cannot repair and build cells fast enough? If we do that, the body can do the rest itself. The body is very smart. It don't need our guiding. It needs sometimes our help. Okay, so takeaway number 2. Correct voltage is a premise for normal cellular information exchange. As I mentioned, all cells make fields, and there are currents going through the body, and the current make fields. And the cell membranes vibrate, and when they vibrate, they make fields. And these fields are exchanged throughout the body and out of our body, so everybody around us can know how we are. This energy exchange cannot happen if the energy is too low. Again, you need the voltage. So this is what we need to find out of the client. Why is the voltage too low? Some places, maybe just one place, maybe in the whole organ system, or maybe in the whole body. Why is it? What causes the voltage to go down? This is what we need to know. Okay, so we say that the cell voltage is the main indicator. Many people will argue that no, it's a different thing that's the main indicator. If you go to a therapist who has specializing in acupuncture, they will say it's the balance of the chi, which is the main indicator. If you go to a cardiovascular specialist, they will be very occupied with your cardiovascular system and so forth. However, in any case, there are main indicators who influence each other. So if one of these indicators are in perfect condition, perfect state, all the others will be. So we just prefer to look at the voltage because we have seen for many years and from a lot of research and from cooperation with a lot of top client clinics all over the world that the voltage is a best indicator. So you can see I put it on the top. So we say a normal cell has approximately minus 70 millivolt charge. A neuron has higher charge, a fat cell has lower, but let's say minus 70 millivolt. This means that the pH balance in the body must be correct, simply because pH stands for potential hydrogen. pH is a measurement of the charge of the water in your body. And since we know 99% or 99% of the molecules in your body are water, it means that the cell cannot have proper charge if the pH is incorrect. So again, if you have the correct pH, you have the correct voltage. If you have the correct voltage, you have the correct pH. Then we get back to the mineral balance. And when the minerals are divided in water, we call them electrolytes. Electrolytes, they can transport electrons. So that's what's going on in the body, transport of electrons. And these electrolytes, they have a plus and minus charge. So inside the cell and outside the cell, we have different portions of plus and minus. And when this balance is correct, we have a correct mineral balance and we have a correct voltage. Again, we cannot have correct voltage if there is not water enough and a correct water balance, because water is very important for our body. And if we have a good waste and management system, we can detoxify, we can get rid of the acids through the kidneys, we get rid of the metals and other toxins from the liver and digestive system. It's working well and we're treating it well. We get rid of the toxins. The toxins has a positive charge. Toxins are stealers. They are oxidants. So they steal electrons from the body and making your battery low. So if you get rid of them, it means that you have more minus in the body. You have a higher charge. Again, back to the voltage. Also, we have a sufficient supply of oxygen in the blood. In the blood, the red blood cells have something called setup potential. And setup potential is nothing else than expression of the voltage of the red blood cells. Most doctors have heard about this, but they don't talk much about it in school. But when the setup potential is correct, red blood cells, they have minus and minus, they will repel each other. If the red blood cells have low potential, they start to stick, and we get this rouleau effect, staples of red blood cells. So then we have a problem. Again, if the setup potential is high, the voltage is correct, and vice versa. Natural metabolism and ATP production. Well, if your cells have enough voltage and you have all the other things that must be there because the voltage is correct, it can produce ATP from sugar and ketones using oxygen. So we have an oxygenation in the cell producing natural ATP and energy, which again increases the voltage. If the electric potential is too low, below minus 30, minus 20 millivolts, the oxygen cannot come in fast enough, and the cells have to convert to fermentation. And this is what we call cancer. So when the cell doesn't have the voltage and it's too low over time, the cell has to convert to a different way of producing energy. That's without oxygen and based on sugar, just like we make wine. So again, if the natural metabolism is correct, ATP production is correct, the voltage is correct. So if you know the voltage, you know it all. And then back to the communication, the cells can communicate and control the growth if the voltage is correct. So as I say, there are synergy effects. One for all for one. So we have the thieves. And that's what we're going to investigate in our investigations. What steals our voltage? What stops the body from producing voltage? I will just go through the list because we're not going to spend a lot of time here. This list can be downloaded, you can view it later. And it's very useful because this is the list you need to check in the clinic. If you know this list, you know the answer to the list, you know exactly what to do with yourself or for a client. So a scar is interfering electric communication. I don't know if you see it, but I have a small scar here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So when there is a current coming here through the fascia and hitting the scar, it will go through the scar and then start moving again, because the scar is jam-packed with more calcium and the conductivity is high. So that means it interferes with the communication of the electric current through my hand. If you have a scar here, it can interfere with the thyroid, it can interfere with the connection point for the large intestine or the lung system, many things. And vice versa, the women who have Kaisersnitt, we call it. Sorry, I forgot the English word, but anyway, they have to take out the baby through the stomach, so they get a large scar across the abdomen that will interrupt the communication in the lower channels of the body, often interfering with the kidney and digestive system. So it's important to treat scars. You can do it using time over frequency, you can use iodine, and you can use natural essential oils and messages. I'm not going to teach you how to do it, but this has to be a later seminar. Anyway, so this steals electrons and it blocks the communication. If you have an infection in the jaw, and if you have a root canal, that is an infection, because the root canal can never be a good root canal, since the blood supply is blocked. The body has to send electrons to repair, and it produces bacteria, etc. So again, it steals from the whole channel. Maybe this channel is connected to the heart, or maybe it's connected to the stomach. Anyway, infections in the teeth can have dramatic effects. One root canal can block 75% of the whole immune system. So what Dr. Jerry Tennant, which I talk about often, he made a test with females having breast cancer. And he tested them for root canals and infections in the jaw. It turned out that 96% of them who had cancer in the left side had a problem in the jaw on the left side. So that's how important it is. It's an electron stealer, and it produces toxic bacteria. Trauma, any trauma. It can be what you consider a big trauma from an accident, from abuse or anything, or a small trauma, which is a big trauma for you. Like I remember I learned from a client once, and he understood later in life that when his father didn't give him the electric car he promised when he was 7, he had a trauma because he thought he was not good enough for the car. And this "I'm not good enough" was with him for the rest of his life until it was resolved. So trauma creates electric blocks in the body. It can be a block in the electric system of the heart or in digestive system, kidney, wherever. So we have to release these traumas. And these type of traumas block the electric flow, again, stealing electrons. If you have a block in the spine, you have the sacral pump activity where the liquid goes up and down and creating currents and circulating your head and spine. If there is sufficient blocks, if you're stiff, and you can see it, that's when you stand still, you don't move back and forth. This is typically for people who have a block in the spine. So again, these blocks, they steal the voltage. So this is something to check. And of course, we have the lack of building blocks, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, etc. Poor food. So if you don't have the concrete, you cannot build a concrete wall. And your cell membranes and your cells, they need building blocks to be built. Not just water, but also some other building blocks. Okay, and too little water. We are depending on water, and the water should be good. Should have energy, and you should drink enough of it. This is critical. Air pollution and lack of negative ions. So when you're outside in nature, in the forest or with the sea or with a waterfall, there's plenty of negative ions. And when the air inside is going through an air conditioner in a plane or in the house, or the windows are shut for a long time, there will be abundance of positive ions stealing the electrons again. So you want the negative ions charging you. Then we have the stress. If you feel stressed, it doesn't matter if it's because you hurt, because of trauma, because of toxins, because your body is not working well. Doesn't matter how you feel stressed, it's all equal to the body. The body will pump blood to the heart, muscles, and brain to fight somebody. And the kidneys and liver and stomach will rest, because you don't need to digest food if there's a lion digesting you, or you need to fight the lion. So when you are in the stress mode, you cannot detox again. The body builds up more oxidants and you lose electrons. So the toxins, of course, all toxins. Mercury is very bad, and we have a lot of environmental toxins. We have toxins in the water. We have toxins in pesticides. And sometimes we produce our own toxins inside if we have infections from bacteria. So we have to detox, and we have to find out if this client has too many toxins. Of course, we have the man-made radiation, the electromagnetic radiation from mobile phones, from computers, from computer screens, from the electric grid, from Wi-Fi, etc. And very important is the light. If you have bad light inside all day, you will have problems sleeping in the night. So you should find yourself natural lighting, full spectral lighting that does not flicker, because the flickering is the signal, it's the frequency, and it will give your body information you don't want. And that means if you're sitting still too long, you don't produce electrons, because when you press your muscles together, the piezoelectric, the electric generating molecules in your muscles, they give out currents. So they charge your organs. So when I use my arms or my legs or my body, I charge my organ systems. So if I don't move, I don't charge. So I lose electrons. And of course, the lack of contact with nature, which includes contact to the ground, sunlight, and nature in general. Because outside in nature, when you are touching the ground or a tree, you're getting the sunlight, the fresh air, you are being charged. So if you never go out, you will have problem to charge. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so, excuse me. So we're going to look at the functional evaluation of the man. He's 63 years old now, and we use different apparatus to do it. And this will maybe be a little bit frustrating for you, because I have to go back and forth in the PowerPoint to see before and after and compare pictures, because I cannot use the apparatus. You would see his name and the image, and I have to protect the client, of course. But anyway, I think you hopefully will find it interesting. So we're going to use a tool called BioWell, coming from former GDV cam technology, and in earlier days, Kirlian photo. So BioWell can see how is your energy field, how is your energy state. It can see how's your body working. So how is the energy properties of your body? You cannot see everything there, but you can see the activity of the body. What is the body doing? What is the body working with? Where is it low activity? Where is it high activity? And then we need to figure out why. So it's a good way of looking. Then we're going to use OligoScan or OligoLab. There are two different software for the same hardware. And look at minerals and metals, because this will tell us about the mineral balance, which is critically important because of the electrolytes, the ability to transport electrons and build potentials in the body. Of course, the metals, they give you indication of toxic metals, and also, if you cannot detox the metals properly, you also have much more toxins. We know this for sure. And then we're going to use a system called VitalScan, HRV. Many of you know these systems, but I need to tell the others who doesn't know. So the HRV is heart rate variability. It means it can compare your heart pulses with each other. It can also compare the speed of the blood and several other things to determine the status and health of your cardiovascular system, the autonomic nerve system, your physical and mental strength. And by the way, biofield from the BioWell tells us about emotional stress. So we'll know about emotional stress, physical stress, and emotional stress. I mean, mental stress. So then we have the BMI, body mass index, and there also we measure the water balance, intracellular, extracellular water, and something called phase angle. I will tell you later. Then we have TimeWaverFreq, many of you know very well and used for a long time, and we use it for information evaluation. We look for influences that is not open in the physical view of everything. Maybe you can get extra information. I used to say to my client, well, I use TimeWaverFreq to have a little talk before I treat you. So I have my plan for treatments, and I discuss a little with TimeWaverFreq, and maybe I adjust my treatments because sometimes TimeWaverMed will remind me of issues which are important for this client. I will show it. And then we do testing of the spine and jaw. This we can do a little bit in from the BioWell apparatus. Will show us high activity in the jaw. We know there is something, but normally we use the Papimi nanopulse sensitivity test. We hold it there, and if it generates pain, we know there's a problem. And of course, the most important of all, we observe the client. We use our observation to see and understand the client and listen to the client, what they tell us. This way we know better what to look for. So, okay, let's go. Are you ready? Okay, so the case study this time is a male. He's 63 years old. And self-reported issues were edema and rashes in unpleasant places. So actually, he has them many places. But the first time I talked to him, he told me he had it some very unpleasant place. And also he has a tendency of loose stomach and digestive issues. He had earlier had kidney stones, but besides this, he told me he was perfect health, or in good health, healthy, using supplements, eating good food, and having a normal life. Okay, I said, well, let's have a look. So I took, because this man was the man we potentially want to have business with. So I'd like to check people who is going to have business with us or work for us, of course. So I took the first BioWell picture. And most of you don't know BioWell, so I will explain you the basics. So you can see in the so-called aura, which is not aura, it's a mapping. But anyway, you can see there are holes in it. And if you see on the right side there are holes in it down with the legs. You can see there are holes with the head, and there are weak points in this biofield. It's weak points in this energy field. And you can see the rings below. There's the right side of the body and the left side of the body. And you can see that there's a green area, and the green area is the normal area. And you can see most of his lines are inside. And you can also see they are very star formatted. So this told me this person has some emotional issue now, and he's stressed and he's tired. Well, anyway, that was the first visit, and he didn't come back for some time because he didn't think he needed treatment. He came for a business meeting. But after some time, he found out he'd like to come and visit us once per year to see how everything was. And you can see that things have changed a little bit. And we measured him in May, the yearly visit for him. And we can see here on the biofield that you can see there are streams going out, and that's where there are high activity or some abnormal activity. But you don't need to know it. You can look at the right side of the ring below first. There you see there is high activity in the jaw. So there is suspicion that he has the jaw problem on the right side. Sorry, doesn't matter. And there's high activity in the thyroid gland. And that gives an indication that the thyroid gland is working. And I wonder why. Why is it working? Probably to produce more thyroid hormone. Okay, we can also see that on the right side, we see the appendix and so on. So there's higher activity in the stomach. So the stomach is working harder. Then we can see a little bit to the left, we see the sacrum, the prostate, and the red line there. That's the liver. It doesn't on the left side. Liver and prostate are very close to each other. And then we see the thyroid gland again. And then we see on the right circle that rectangle is going in where it says epiphyse and pituitary gland. So there is some unbalance in the hormone system, not enough energy to do the necessary work in the hormone system. And then we can come to the respiratory system. So there is some activity there. The respiratory system is very close connected to the neck because the electric channels for the lungs are coming from the neck. And then we see something that I wondered about, and that's a little bit low energy in the coronary vessels and cerebral zone. So the circulation up to the head and the circulation is influenced in his heart. This doesn't mean there's something wrong with his heart, but it means that the energy there is a little bit low and there's some unbalance. If you look on the left side, the left circle, we can see his left jaw. So there is something with the jaw. And we can see the thyroid gland again. We see the respiratory system. We see also the spleen. And again, the sacrum and the prostate area. And then we see the kidneys and the liver. The kidneys and liver, they work a little bit extra. And you can go to the transverse column, the stomach. You see there is some unbalance, a little bit too little energy there. And again, we see the same thing for hormones. Okay, so let's go to the next image. So this is from the same measurement, and you can see just the different parts of it. And then you can see one of the reasons why this system is out of balance, because he has anxiety. He has emotional stress. The rest of the parameters are quite normal, but if you look at the right side of the organ systems, of the balance in the organ systems, we can see all the yellow. That's where the activity is higher than normal, and the red is lower. So you can see again, we find his jaw, we find his vessels, and the respiratory system and the throat, and we see the hormone system, thyroid, pancreas, adrenal, spleen. And then we see the sacrum. The sacrum is connected to the kidneys, okay? And then we see the stomach, the liver, the pancreas again, hormones and digestive system, and the abdominal zone, and the urogenital system. And the urogenital system is, of course, influenced by the kidneys. So the kidneys should have a different color here, but the program is not as good as I am. But you will see. So we give him a treatment. We use TimeWaver, and we use a special device here, who you can put on your head, and it's a fantastic tool to reduce stress. But I also use TimeWaverFreq to reduce the stress and balance him and put more energy in it. And if you see this picture and you go quickly back, you see this picture, excuse my nose, you see that the balance is much better here. And the body is working better. It's still working in the jaw and the thyroid. It's still working in the respiratory system, but the balance is much better and the energy is more, not just more balanced, but better shared for the whole body. And you can see the, let's say, aura picture is much clearer. And then you see his stress level has been reduced. So he's now in the normal range, so-called optimal. And the interesting thing is, if you look to the right here, you see that the circulation and his heart area also improved. The hormone system improved, not everything is fixed, and the urinary system improved. So a lot of things happen in one treatment. This treatment was using the menopause and timing frequency and the headband when I was in the chair the first 20 minutes to increase or reduce the stress more quickly. Okay, so we know a little bit about his issues. Then we took the HRV. And this HRV here showed that there was high stress. And this is a physical stress. And the autonomic balance, the system that should turn on and off and regulate everything, was slightly out of it. And you can see the picture to the right below, that the body is in stress mode. And even more concerning, you can see that the SpO2, which is the oxygen saturation of the blood, was only 92. It's not perfect. Should be more than 94. So the oxygenation, the circulation was not good. And this is apparatus. The HRV has 3 different medical approvals. It's used by hundreds of thousands of people for 20 years, and being developed all the time, of course. So it's very reliable. So this apparatus is giving us similar information as the other apparatus. So we can start to put things together. So his cardiovascular system was struggling, and he had a physical high stress. And you can also see his functional age was 61. He's 63, so 61 is not bad. 61 is okay. Now we can see after. And you can see his stress was reduced. You can see his autonomic nerve system was now inside the green zone. And you can see, interesting enough, that his oxygen saturation was now in 96, which is normal. And even better, he is now 58 years of age. And he said after his treatment, next time I'll bring my wife. So I think that's a good one. But anyway, we can see that treatment worked well. And we can see that stress is an important factor, and also the balance of the energy system. The good thing with TimeWaver and this apparatus is that we can balance the energy system and we can reduce the stress. So I told him to come back because I wanted to do some tests with him because of the heart things. And this time it showed up. So the HRV showed me that he had the cardiovascular system was in very high stress, and he had 98 abnormal beats in 5 minutes. So this was not good. We have to sort out what was it. What was this problem? I had a look in TimeWaverMed, and interesting enough, TimeWaverMed also thought that the arterial vascular system was important. I thought, well, okay, let's dig deeper. Let's use TimeWaverMed to analyze the causes that can influence his heart. I've seen in the pictures from the first time I saw him in 2016 until now that there has a tendency of being some weakness in the heart. What can it be if it's not purely physical? Well, TimeWaverMed thinks there are conflicts influencing him. Some birth trauma or some burnout. It's not burnout, but I am quite sure that he has a problem with conflicts. And that influences his heart. It influences the electric properties of the heart. So it's a good tip. This man does not know it himself. He only knows that he sometimes gets a block in the back, which also influences the heart rate. So this is what we fix before next treatment. But and he has some emotional issues, getting stressed easily, but he doesn't understand why. And I think it's pretty sure that this is an old trauma, and from him very small. He does not remember it. The good thing is we can treat it. So we are jumping a little bit back or jumping forward. We're going to his normal situation. And as you can see from the first time we saw him, before treatment, now his energy field is more balanced. There's more energy in it. It's thicker. So body has the ability to work. And his general stress is better from the first time. But still, the tendency of stress is there before treatment. We look at his body systems and we see that there is no more red. But the cardiovascular system is working hard, the respiratory system is working hard, and the hormone system is working hard. And now the kidneys show up. So we know it's the body is working to fix and repair cells. It's working to fix and repair cells, and it's in a sort of a stress mode because it's working more than normal. And you can see this now. what's going on? Well, what is going on? That he's now started a protocol we recommended him with a lot of very easy absorbable minerals and detoxification remedies, high dose vitamin C, etc. And we are now treating him actively, so the body starts to respond. It starts to work in all the weak places. And this is what we see before the treatment. And we can see in the liver, it's working hard, the kidney are working hard. So it's working to detox. The body is working to detox. But still, we have the tendency of the low energy of the heart. And we still have a tendency of the respiratory system, the thyroid area, and the jaw. But the jaw is better. So it means that this problem in the jaw is probably not a serious root canal infection. It is something we can treat. But we know that kidneys and liver are important, okay? Because if we can get rid of the toxins, get out the oxidants, get out the plus, we have more minus, more charge. And then we treat them, and we see that the electric system, this is not it looks like the chakra system, and in a way it is, but it's more a physical chakra system. It's more an energy chakra system. You can see that he's more in balance after the treatment. And now you can see that we have managed to reduce the stress again. Not optimal, but is better. And his field is then more balanced. And then you can see now the body is now working. It's working a little bit much, but it's more balanced. And very good thing here is that we managed to get his coronary vessels in normal mode. His heart and circulation is now much better, and I'll show you here. So this was the after, and you can see I must mention that he had a block between the shoulders and the upper thorax, and we had to release this block. We used papillin nanopods to do that. And of course, he was sitting in our special massage chair, and we also use the frequency, as we always do. All clients, they come to the chair, we call it. So they sit in the chair, good massage chair with a blanket, it's quiet, good smell in the room, maybe some bird song, and we treat them with timer frequency. So this is a part of the treatment always. And then we add some extras. In this case, this was the papilli. And now you can see the good news for this guy. The physical autonomic nerve system is normal. The mental stress is lower than usual. It's not gone, but the autonomic nerve system is much more happy. And you can see for him, now he's 55 years old. So the first time we measured him, he was 68. Now he's 55. So no wonder he likes us. And the cardiovascular system is totally normal. Oh, he has a couple extra strokes, but 2 extra strokes is nothing. And you will see why after. It's because of the mineral balance. It's not because there's an energy imbalance now and the spine is corrected. Then you can see that there are many things there is no risk of, but you can see again there is some indication that the energy and interstellar oxygen in the thyroid is too low because of the circulation thing. He has a tendency to cramp because of the stress. And the same thing we can see here on the respiratory system, but the rest is good. So again, we can compare this test with the biofield and the observations, and they all match together. They even match together with TimeWaverMed, who sees the same thing. And you can see also his digestive system here, by the way, to the right, that it's just outside the normal system, so it's improving. So he's improving, his body is working, he's working to repair. And if we just look back 2 years, yeah, his autonomic nerve system was not happy. He was 68 years old in physical or functional age. But the heart was at that time beating regularly. So he has improved quite a lot, and that is because this year he's been listening to our advices and coming for some more treatments, not many, but 4 or 5, not too far away from each other, and he has followed our recommendations on minerals and detoxification, and I will show you why in a minute. One thing that was the problem, and it's a problem for him, is to get the intracellular water to be correct. So I've been telling him to drink enough water, so he's been drinking more water, but because the voltage is a tendency of being too low because of the stress, mental and emotional, and sometimes physical, the body don't detoxify properly, and when they don't detoxify, you lose your voltage. When you don't have a voltage, you cannot structure the water, and you will have a proper water. You won't have a proper water balance. So you see that that's the next step for him now, and I recommended him to buy a good water filter, to buy energizer and a hydrogen water bottle, to improve the structure and the quality of the water, so it's easier to fix his cells. Then we have a parameter called phase angle, and the phase angle is a bit complicated, but it's giving a couple of indications. One indication that there are some cell membranes in the body who are under attack. They are not perfect mode, because if they were very good or normal, they would be above 6. You see the norm is above 6, and he has 3.72 in the phase angle. So that's too low. And the other thing is that influence the phase angle, you can guess. Yes, the voltage. So it's the indication that the voltage is low. If the voltage is low, it's indication he's acidic, right? And it's indication that he don't detoxify, and it's an indication that doesn't have the mineral balance, and so on. Let's move on. So again, if we're looking at chakra coherence in TimeWaverMed, we get the important tips. What is the first thing we need to treat for this guy? And you see the sacral chakra. What is it connected to? It's connected to the bladder and the kidneys. And what more? Anxiety and sexuality. So we can speculate on the last part, but we won't. But we can be pretty sure that anxiety, stress is an important factor for him. And TimeWaverMed also confirms the same thing as all our physical measurements. And if I was a practitioner, and I am a practitioner, and this was the first time I saw him, I thought I would think, yes, I've seen the kidneys, I've seen the liver, I've seen the toxins. Okay, kidneys are very important to treat for him. So in TimeWaverFrequency, I will show you, we will treat the kidneys also. And then we can be playing with acupuncture. Also again in the meridian system in TimeWaverMed. And you see TimeWaverMed says large intestines, bladder and kidney. So bladder and kidney is urinary system. Again, we know about it. The large intestine is interesting because it's here. No, it's not there, it's here. It's in the large intestine. But the electric connecting point for the large intestine is connected to the lungs. These points are connected. So if you're influencing your lungs, you're influencing your large intestine, and vice versa. So he has a stomach problem, and we see that they often have high activity in biovel in the neck and throat area. So the neck and throat is connected to the digestive system. And again, TimeWaverMed sees it also in meridian mode. Good boy. Okay, so then we go to the tissue analyzing and that was, you see, he was 1 year ago, so it was 2019. He just came for an annual checkup, didn't want to do anything, as usual. And I said to him, you know, your mineral balance is really bad, because in this oligoscan mineral test report, where you test tissue in the hands with the photospectrometry, it's the same way you look at stars and determine what type of materials and chemicals and so forth is in the stars. Also the same way we determine chemicals in the laboratory. This apparatus sends a laser in, and detects the reflecting beam and look for the absorption of the electromagnetic wave. And then we know what is in the tissue. The tissue is a good representation of the intracellular space and also in the body status in general. So if you look on the OK stripe in the middle, you see to the left, there are many stripes. To the right, there are some stripes, and some of them are more, we don't need to worry too much about them. The only thing we don't like is the calcium are tendency of high, and the magnesium is tendency of low, even if he's been eating magnesium for a long time. And the phosphorus is very low. So this indicates for me that he has a problem with heavy metals, and problem with calcium metabolism, and probably vitamin D. And then you also see that the chromium is low. All of them are low. Some of them are green, some of them are yellow, some of them are red, but most of them are on the left side. And chromium is very important for the insulin regulation and the sugar metabolism. And he lives healthy, eats healthy, he does some sport, but he has a tendency of getting fat on his stomach, the unhealthy fat. Why? Because of the stress, because stress increases the blood sugar, and because he doesn't have the chromium to help him handle it. And then you can see iodine. Iodine is needed for the thyroid to produce thyroid hormone, to produce the most important thyroid hormone. It's T3, thyroid hormone T3, which is important for the energy production of the cell. Again, the electric potential of the cell. And we saw in the biofield report here that his thyroid is always working hard. You see? And now we see in his mineral status that he has too little iodine. So of course, we need to treat his iodine. So problem with the sugar metabolism and problem with the thyroid hormone, the energy production, is what is causing him to have this problem with the fat on the stomach, even if he's healthy, eating healthy, generally. And then we can move down, and we can see that his selenium is low. What is selenium? Selenium, of course, is a mineral, but what is the most important function for selenium? At least one of the most important functions are the thyroid and detoxification of the liver. Because the liver cannot produce glutathione, which is the most important antioxidant in the body, if it doesn't have enough selenium. So he has too little selenium. Sulfur is also low and needed for sulfur conjugation, which is the detoxification process of the liver. So this man obviously must have a detoxification process, and this is one of the reasons he has low potential. Again, why does he have a detoxification problem, and why does he have the absorption problem? Because he doesn't absorb this mineral properly, and he doesn't detox because of the stress. So now we can look at his detoxification, and you see that he has too much of many things. Silver from old fillings, now taken out, and the cadmium, not good, and mercury. Mercury is the biggest sinner here, and electron stealer, and also blocking of the light. Cells emit light, and mercury block light. So it's very bad for us. And you see, the program thinks he has 88% unsatisfactory detoxification system. And it also says that it's problem to detoxify because of the sulfur conjugation I just mentioned. And you can also see that the balance between kalium and potassium is not correct. Too little potassium, too much calcium. And the same with potassium and natrium, or kalium and natrium, as we say in Norwegian. So, okay. So now we have convinced him he has to start to treat his minerals and give him very special minerals. And you can see that it's starting to improve, but it takes time. because every time he digests enough minerals, the body absorbs it and tries to get rid of the toxins. So it uses it, but now it's supplementing in good needs. You see, it's much more green, and even the phosphorus are starting to move. Calcium is still too high. The chromium is still too high. But now, after seeing this one, we gave him a new protocol, and we gave him more specific minerals, and now he's using it because he wants to fix this. You can see also the heavy metals are here. You see the heavy metals? It looks worse, doesn't it? But it's not worse. It is what we saw up here. What is going on? What did I say? Okay, let's look here, back here. Let's look here. You see here, the liver and the kidneys are working hard, the body is working hard to detoxify. So the toxins are coming out in the blood, going out in the liver, going out from the kidneys, and also coming into the tissue, floating. And we absorb it using chelators, of course. But for some time, his heavy metal report will look bad. But now we know that the minerals are going up, the body is working with it, and the toxins are on the way out. So we expect by the next measurement, maybe in 3 months, 6 months, he will start to see that these parameters are going down. And you can see that the program indicates that it should be that his oxidative aggression is there, it's not critical. So oxidative aggression, it means attack on the cell membranes, which we saw in the phase angle, which we saw in the phase angle, and also in the pictures showing that the body is working hard, and also because of the metals. So it's likely that we need to support him with more antioxidants like glutathione and higher dose of vitamin C, which he is now using. And you can see also that the program expects him to have a problem of acidosis. Acidosis, again, it's a pH. What is the pH? It's the voltage of the waters. And if the voltage of the waters are low, of the body. So now you see, through all these tests, we're all getting the same picture. Isn't it great? So now we know what to do, right? There are also some interpretations. It doesn't mean it's a measurement. It means this is what the program suspects. And we don't normally look at it, but it's interesting to see that they think his emotional state is influenced by this mineral balance and heavy metals. And it is correct. It's influencing him too. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let me see if there's something important I forgot to tell you. I think you saw the whole picture here. We know what to do. We know he has tendency of blocking in the back. We know we need to strengthen the kidneys and the liver. We know we have to take care of his heart and circulation. And we know for sure that stress is the most important thing for him. So every treatment we do has to include stress reduction and emotional therapies. So if we use TimeWaverFreq, we can use the frequency matrix. That's the informational part of TimeWaverFreq. And we can go to the matrix workshop and do general analyze all. And as you see, it's quite interesting. The first thing TimeWaverFreq says in the informational analyzing is emotional disturbance. So pretty smart one, huh? Emotional disturbance is important. And then it says primary fields of interest, dental problems. So the system thinks there are some dental problems. And the third is the lifestyle, and the fourth is musculocrinial sacral. And we have some problems with circulation, so it's a smart one. we can dive deeper and we can ask him what to do about the emotional disturbance. What can he do about it? And he should obviously start to do more meditation, Tai Chi, relaxation, breathing exercises. We told him some breathing exercises because it proved well. We tested it, and he responds very well to it. I will tell you in a moment. This breathing exercise is actually very simple. You lay down, find a comfortable position, you breathe in through the nose. And hold it for, let's say, 5 or 10 seconds. You count to 5. And when you breathe in, it's important to consider that you fill your whole body and to the top of your head. So you fill up here, all the way here, not raising your shoulders, and breathing out and to the stomach, and then empty more. If you do this 10 times and you keep your breath about 5-10 seconds when it's in, and do it slowly through the nose, the autonomic nerve system will react and calm you down. Very good for even panic attacks and all kinds of stress. And we teach him how to do it now. And also, obviously, we supplied him with this headband because it worked so well for him, called Neorhythm. So he can use it at home. So it will be interesting to see him next time. Okay, so then we look for, I just took for fun and searched the whole informational database in TimeWaverFreq and said, what do you find? And again, it finds interesting things. It finds, it wants to find him some help to deal with his teeth, the dental issue. And we also treat it with pulses. And we can treat it in TimeWaverFreq, of course, and we do. And then again, emotional things and the blood, ascorbic acid. So good thinking, TimeWaverFreq. Okay, so this could be a typical list for him. So here we go into indications after we've done initial balancing. We do the low frequency, 3x3, real time, maybe at least for chronics. And then we start to look for frequencies in the indication database and we make a list. And this is pretty typical me. You know, I normally end up with like 18 frequencies or so, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more. Not with the first time treatments, of course, then we do less. And if you look at this list, you see we found blood, circulation, depression, anxiety, emotional ties, heart, kidney, large intestine, influencing by the lungs and the neck, liver, lymph circulation, the teeth, calming him down, the heart general, the lungs, again connected to this area, detox, heart, lungs, kidney, and a sense of balance. And if you look to the right, where you see relevance, this column next to progress, you can look at the relevances. So what has the highest relevance of all in this list? Well, 99.7 is dental, so it's important. 99.98 is lungs. But you can see there are many on 99 point something, also the sense of balance. And so TimeWaverFreq agrees with me or us. This guy needs these frequencies, these are his problems, and it's now confirmed again. So it's interesting for me to see that, to see that our measurements and our functional analyzing, it matches up. Everything matches up, everything is connected, and when you go into the frequency, you feel secure that you're doing the right thing, because even TimeWaverFreq respects and confirms your choices. Okay, so I guess, okay, I'm going to say something about Deep Cycle very shortly. Many of you use it and know it from TimeWaver and TimeWaver Home. They are the Deep Cycle frequency databases, the automated frequencies are also on Healy, the new mini TimeWaver frequency. And so the original cycle is being updated, and there is lot of new things coming there when it's ready, and hopefully TimeWaver and Healy will find the will to distribute it to you guys. Okay, so maybe you have some questions. Okay, so first question, how much vitamin C are you recommending when you say high doses? What type of C are you using and preferring? Well, that's an easy answer. High doses, we consider 15 grams or more, 15,000 milligrams or more. Obviously, it depends on the situation. You can survive on much less, but if you want to treat something seriously, you want to increase and protection. So 15 grams or more, as much as you can take. And it's interesting that if you combine vitamin C in a powder form, you can put it in the water. Let's say you take a teaspoon, like 5 grams in a liter of water, and you drink a little bit very often. So you don't get the diarrhea, because if you get too much too fast of the powder, you can get a diarrhea. It's not very dangerous, but it's better not to get it. But my favorite are professional liposomes, liposomal vitamin C. Liposomes. I'll send it to all so you know the name. And if you combine drinking water with a little vitamin C all day, and then you take some liposomes, let's say you do 5-10 grams, then you can get the serum level, which is higher than you do with intravenous injections. Some book about organs, for example, having, you see, for example, if you have a problem with one organ, which organ we have to treat too. Okay, I suggest everybody to read Healing is Voltage from Dr. JanF. That's I think it's the best one for this. I don't have the other apps that you mentioned, only TimeWaverMed and TimeWaverFrequency. How would you use these analyzing using just those two? Well, Nina, this is a little bit how I showed you. Since I cannot go into the live apparatus now, so I cannot start working deeper with the TimeWaverMed or frequency now, because you would see the client and his name and everything, so it's not possible, sorry. But of course, with TimeWaverMed, you have a lot of possibilities. I would, of course, use the meridian system and go deeper into it and find what is the highest priority. You can even connect electrodes to the points which I suggested. So let's say the TimeWaver finds in the meridian points, finds points in the neck, you can use them. You can, of course, send the informational treatments, because TimeWaverMed has an informational treatment possibility. And you can ask questions and answers. You can look at organ coherency. So there's many things you can do with TimeWaverMed. And as I say to some clients, we could work all day with just TimeWaverMed. But this is how I work in my clinic. That's what I showed you. And I think it makes sense, because I can confirm information from many levels, and I also have physical data, which makes me feel 99% sure that I'm giving the right treatments. Also with TimeWaverFrequency, the analyzing, I showed you can use the informational matrix. You can search for frequency, and you can get relevance. Of course, you can then use these frequencies. I think that's the question I can give you without showing you in more directly. On Healy, you can always send informational tree sets in one's indication phase. Are deep cycle programs they're different from the TimeWave frequency for this reason? Let me see if I understand that question. On the Healy, you can only send information from 3 sets in one indication phase. Are the deep cycle programs there different from the TimeWave frequency? Yeah. Well, the TimeWave frequency, the Healy has different physical parameters from TimeWave frequency and TimeWave home. So it can, for example, only use square waves, and it has up to 1 megahertz, not 10 megahertz. And it can only use 2 frequencies in indications at time. So there are some differences, yes. Besides that, I'm not sure I understood your question, but ask again if you didn't get an answer. How often you recommend the TimeWave frequency therapy per week? Well, this is a good question because it depends very much on the person you are treating. Let me take an example. Some people come in and they are full of toxins, the energy is low, and they are sensitive. So I give them a treatment and they go home and detoxify, and they tell me they feel horrible. So they need to wait a couple of days. And next time I do it more easy, and maybe I give them 4 or 5 days in between. Then you have the different type of client where I've been treating them sometimes and they have a problem with fatigue, let's say chronic fatigue. People with chronic fatigue, they benefit from treatments every day. But coming to a clinic and getting treatments every day can be sort of a stress, and therefore it's nice to combine with home treatments from TimeWave Home or Helio or other apparatus. But for some people, they like treatments many times every day, and it can help them a great deal when they do the right programs. So I say to clients, you know, if you come every 14 day or once a month, you will have an effect, but your progress will be slower. If you come every week, once a week, that's okay. We know we'll have progress and you can see it from time to time. But if you feel that you feel better and your energy, excuse me, my nose is itching, your energy is increasing after every treatment, and then you have a down period after 2 or 3 days, why don't you come 2 times a week so you keep the energy up and we can move more quickly? Do you always give them physical things to do at home, supplements, breathing exercises, etc., in addition to their information frequency therapy? Yes. I tell my clients that 80%, 90% of the treatment is happening at home. It's what you do at home. You need to get out, you need to get sun, you need to get fresh air, you need to touch the ground. You need to drink good water. You cannot eat garbage if you want to be healthy. You need to take your supplements to protect your body from toxins. You need to take the minerals to have the energy production in the body normalize. And if they never move, I tell them you have to do physical exercise. And so yes, the clients who have chronic health problems, they have to do work at home. And I tell them it's like a coach. But if you go home and eat a lot of sugar and you don't do the right things, how can you proceed? You have to think like you're going to participate in the Olympic Games. If you have a very serious disease, you're going to win the Olympic Games. And if I'm your coach and you are the athlete, what do? You train, get therapy, you drink the right thing, the right water, you take the supplements, you rest, you meditate, you visualize how to win. This is what the top athlete does. This is also what you have to do if you want to get rid of a serious chronic disease. Okay? For chelation therapy, which type of supplements and substance do you use, Liana? Okay, so chelation therapy. Well, the first thing I do with the detoxification is we have to get all the minerals there, because you have just the magnesium, it's about 500 to 700 enzyme reactions in the body, etc., etc. So it's you have to get the minerals in place, and you have to get the water in place. And slowly, after you start to increase the minerals, we can start to induce to increase the detoxification of the body. We can use the first thing we normally use is is something called ultra binder. It's a charcoal component in there. So absorb what comes out from the liver, because when the body gets more energy, we need to chelate the guts, because a lot of metals and garbage come out through the gallbladder into the digestive system. And we also use zeolite, Zeobent from Zeobent Med in Germany. You see my email at the below presentation. So for details on type of supplements and so on, I think it's a good idea you write me a mail because I cannot write all the names here. So we start to chelate the digestive tract with these two components. We increase the intake of vitamin C. We increase the intake of glutathione, GSH, liposomes again, because for the absorption. And then we have multiple substances that can increase the detoxification of the body. So I think this is what we're going to say about this now. And then, Liana, you were also asking if I'm using the McMackin protocols. No, I'm using TimeWaverFreq in standard mode and searching for single frequencies, because I like more the holistic approach. McMackin, I'm sure it's great for pain and many things, but I like the holistic approach where I can treat the whole person, I can treat the organs, I can treat emotions, and this I do very well in regular mode in TimeWaverFreq. How long time does the session average take in my clinic? Normally 1.5 hours. I mean, a session, a treatment session. The first session with the analyzing, I do analyzing, I talk with the client, I treat them, I use the nanopulse, I use maybe light, infrared, and I put them in a chair. And when they're in the chair, I write a list of supplements and what they should do. And can you believe it? I spent 3 hours. So many times, you know, if I have 2 new clients and they are complicated, again, my nose story, I spend 3 hours. But regular treatments, most of them, they stay for 1.5 hours. Okay, so the book Healing with Voltage, Healing is Voltage is the correct name. Healing is Voltage. But most of the deep cycle programs are on Healy and on TimeWaverFreq, and they are being updated, and I'm making new programs. All right, so it seems we get very close to the end. If you ever need to contact me, you can use the information below, of course, in my presentation. My email is janp@immovie.com. I don't have time to answer any question from everybody in large detail, but I can hopefully direct you in the right direction, give you some information if you are interested. So use my email, try my Skype. I'm also on Facebook. Okay, so I think we are at the end of this webinar. Hope you appreciate it. I was glad to talk to you. I wish you a happy evening. I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.